Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. I'm really excited about today's guest, David Buck. He's from the Infinity Lifestyle Design Program, which we're going to find out all about. But he's empowering business professionals and their financial advisors to craft purposeful and fulfilling in career or post career lifestyle. And I'm happy to welcome guests with David's background on the show. And David, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate that.
Yeah, kind of set the stage. You talk about your background and your story, and we'll dive right into the conversation.
Excellent. So I spent most of my career in what I would call business development. It's a fancy word for being a salesperson. And I never felt that I was going to be the most charismatic or I was going to win the sale on my sheer force of personality. So I felt I needed to be prepared better than the next person. And that led to my fascination with time and productivity and how that applies not only to the job I was doing, but to then the teams that I managed. And so about 3 years ago, I stepped away from the corporate world and started my own company where I focus on started out first, helping people focus on their productivity in their career for individuals and teams.
Mhm.
But about 2 years ago, my wife and I were having our quarterly review with our financial advisors. And
Mhm.
unbeknownst to me, she asked the question of, hey, what if Dave retired today? And we got an affirmative to say, yeah, that was possible. And that hit me upside the head because I'm like, well, that's cool, but I don't know what I'm going to do when I retire. So I applied the same time management techniques, put myself on a personal journey, and tried to figure out what was my life going to be like. And then I also found there was a lot of other people my age who maybe have the resources, but don't know what they're going to do with those resources. And so then I started what was post-career lifestyle planning, where I help people who are transitioning into a what I call post-career or retirement life craft that lifestyle strategy.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that. So we'll dive right into the conversation. So kind of you mentioned this thing where this phenomenon where it's basically you've worked your entire life and then you have enough to quote retire, and when you retire it's like, what do I do next? And then you find, kind of this post career time. It can be boredom or just kind of talk about time optimizing your lifestyle.
So you hit the nail on the head. A lot of people, when they go into post-career life or retirement life, on average, if you work a 40-hour work week a job, that's 29% of your time that becomes free. Almost a third becomes free. And just because people manage their time well in their career doesn't mean that when they hit retirement life that they're going to be still good time managers. And definitely people who don't manage their time well in career are really going to struggle post career because they just don't know what to do with this void of time that's created for them. So I really start with people to say, even before, I don't care whatever age you are now, is to tell me what your purpose is, because a retired person, when they're asked, hey, what do you do for a living? And you say, well, I'm retired. That other person probably on the other side of the conversation is saying, how do I exit this as quickly as possible? Because I got nothing in common or context with them. So I try to coach my clients to say, let's develop a life purpose statement. So instead of what do you do for a living, you say, let me tell you what my purpose is in life. And then that can flow a lot of good conversation. So purpose to me is the first avenue that people need to take in order to get control of their post-career time.
Oh, yeah, I love this idea of purpose. And what's kind of interesting is I was talking at one of these conferences, and there's this for physicians, it's basically it's like very stepwise progression, and there's very little deviation. And but now the younger generation, there's this concept of a portfolio career, so you can be practicing for a number of years, or you never practice at all, and then you kind of go into coaching or different things. So this idea of purpose, and then this idea of reframing the word retirement, because I think the first time, before Tim Ferriss, this 4-hour work week, he had many retirements. So kind of talk about this reframing the word retirement.
Yeah, thank you. So again, retirement can bring up, when you say that, even though it's not a four-letter word, many people who are in retirement consider it a four-letter word. It's not something that brings a positive vibe to their existence.
Uh,
And so, and some of the traditional things we look at or stereotypes about retirement is that the individual stops working. They go play golf all day. They're on the beach. They're hanging out with their older friends, eating all the time. So you get these stereotypical views, which for some people could be very like, I don't want, that's boring. I don't want to have anything to do with that. So really the idea of reframing retirement to what I call post-career allows for this idea of replacing the idea of retirement with flexibility. So how much flexibility? Do you want to work in your post retirement life? There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're able to have the flexibility to do the things that you want to do. So that's where I just try to challenge my clients is find the zone of flexibility that fits your comfort. And if it's work or no work, figure it out.
Yeah. And do you think this idea of retirement, basically this idea of money, especially in the West, has to do with this idea where we equate status with your income and how much your net worth is? Do you think that's part of it? Because I know, a lot of other places there's not this emotional charge around money, and there's like people are much happier. What do you think do you think that's part of it?
I do, particularly for, as you can see, I got a lot of gray hair. So for, particularly for the boomers and pretty much the baby boomer generation has that mindset that it was like, I have to save as much as I can to then or accumulate as much as I can in order to reach this magical milestone somewhere in my 60s where I get to ride off into the sunset. And but I find with millennials and Gen Z, that's a totally different approach. Many of them are kind of like, I don't like the model that my parents and my grandparents followed. Quite frankly, that's not attractive. So I'm finding that more younger people are really excited about, hey, I'll go work for 6 months and take 3 months off to go do this major lifestyle thing where people my age would be like, I can't do that. I got to wait till I retire. So, again, I go back to people with clients when I coach ones that are in their 50s. We go through and they create their lifestyle strategy. And at some point, I say, well, you're financially ready now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why wait? If you can pursue those things and figure out to bring in more of those personal, wonderful life experiences that you want,
Yeah.
why wait till this magical time when you say you're 65?
Yeah. Yeah, I find that these generational differences and how they view time, kind of the younger generation understands that life can like unexpectedly, so you kind of live in the moment, and like they're more interested on time and experience freedom as opposed to just uh, like traditional ideas of just having a stable 9 to 5. The younger generation doesn't subscribe to that. Yeah, and it's quite interesting to see how people view time, because it kind of time is the asset, and but people think money is but in that's what causes people to hoard and accumulate. And so yeah, the other question is so while people still working in their career, what are the most common time management challenges for people while in their career?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, the biggest single challenge today that people have, regardless of their age, regardless of their station in life, is distractions. And I define distractions as an internal, something that you lose focus on. And so obviously the biggest culprit for us is social media and screens. Those two things. That distractions alone in the workplace cost companies billions of dollars every year. And so that's when I work with people in career and even post career, it's like I will eventually get to the point of discussing distractions because that's just, it's the nature of what comes at us. Advertising's meant to distract us, social media is meant to distract us. Anything we go into is that. So how do you develop the discipline to overcome that? And then the second management challenge that people have is procrastination. They just continue to delay, and the usual aspect or the culprit behind procrastination is they take what is typically a project and define it as a task. So, for example, like if I wanted to paint my room, if I define that as just a task, then I'm more apt to just push it off because there's a ton of steps I have to do before I can even put the roller on the wall with the new color. So it's typically, I tell people, if you're procrastinating, take what you're procrastinating on and break it into a little sets of different chunks. And then you'll find you'll make progress and eventually get done what you needed to get done.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And so we talked about most common time challenges for people while in their career. How about most common challenges for people post-career retirement? And then we'll talk about time optimization during career and after career.
Okay. So the most common time management challenges for people post career is the overarching one is using their time effectively. Because again,
Yeah.
as I mentioned, you're going to get basically almost a third of your life free in
Uh-huh.
time, and many people don't know what to do with that. Then they start out really strong and probably have a flood of activities, go travel, go do all this stuff, and then usually after 3 to 6 months, many of them have a kind of a boomerang anxiety. It's kind of like, what do I do now? So I want to go back to work. So really what I encourage clients to do before you hit post career, and it's not an easy exercise, is to plan out a typical week. But don't make it look like, Groundhog's Day or copy and paste, because, okay, this is what Monday looks like and paste it into Tuesday. Really think about the things that you want to do in your life that fits into that. And then the other time management challenge people do is they don't set goals for themselves in retirement. They don't think they need to, because I've achieved all my goals. That's why I'm in retirement. Well, you have to define solid set of goals. And when people do that, then that helps them fill their time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite interesting because after I was part of the fire movement, so I retired
Mhm.
early. Yeah, and I retired early, 7 years ago, and then it was great for like I tell people it was great for like 2 months, but then after that, there's just you get bored. You have to have a purpose, and I love what you talked about, just kind of setting goals and little mini challenges. Which brings me to my next question: is that for people listening to this, either they're Gen Z millennial or, just kind of mid-career, but what are the steps one takes to understand how to time optimize their life when they're in career or if they're thinking about headed for post-career or retirement?
Thanks. And so in that case, to me, the reason why I reframe the word time management, I don't like that phrase, because to me, time management seems more reactive. When you manage something, sometimes it's kind of like I'm reacting to the situation. I'm not being critical of managers or the title manager, but in the case of the use of your time, when you time management, it's people are usually like, oh, this came in, and I'm going to have that be the first thing that goes out. So I want to flip the script, and optimize to me is more proactive.
Yeah.
It's you looking at and trying to anticipate the challenges. So for those who are in career, two tools that are at your disposal right now that won't cost you a thing are your electronic calendar and your electronic task uh, programming. They come together bundled. Now, somebody might be saying, hey, I don't use electronic calendar, I use a regular planner. Totally fine with that if that's what you like and that's what you're comfortable. But if I'm trying to get people to improve their time management, I want them to move to an electronic format because there's so much flexibility and ease. And
Uh-huh.
so if you plan your schedule 2 weeks in advance, yes, that's right, 2 weeks. It's what I call wet cement. It's not firm, it's not hard, it's not brittle. You're going to have to flex. But if you continue to plan out your major tasks and your calendar 2 weeks in advance while you're in career, you're going to find you have so much more flexibility in order to focus on your personal life, but also devote time strategically, particularly if you're a leader in your career, to help yourself get ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Um, so like kind of so then kind of talking about the uniqueness of the time optimist life, and then your upcoming book, The Time Optimized Life, is eagerly anticipated. What makes it stand out? And then how will it help readers improve their time management?
Well, thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate that. Yes, it comes out next year, April of 2024. So the Time Optimized Life, I actually wrote based upon a tool that I use with my clients called a time management analysis. It's the basis for both me and the client to get an understanding of where their opportunities are. And it's focused in 5 distinct categories of planning, task management, focus, and then planned activities. I'm sorry, planned activities, and then personal care. And in those 5 areas, we then look at how you can flip the script from being reactive to proactive. So the book walks through people in these 5 categories. And I also include people that I know who fit that subject matter expert, that particular category, so that someone has an example of someone just like them that says, okay, if Matt can manage his tasks with 2 sets of twin daughters, I should be able to manage my tasks as well. So, and not all people have problems everywhere. So that if someone reads the book, they can say, "Hey, my challenge is I can't say no." You can dive into that section of the book and be able to work on that, and then go to the next one. So again, I want to flip the script and have people proactively go after addressing their time challenges before the reactiveness causes them to be unproductive.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Which in kind of talking about this time management versus time optimization in retirement, how does the approach to time management and optimization differ someone who's in the midst of their career versus someone who's approaching or in retirement?
And thank you. So someone in career obviously is this whole reactive versus proactive predominantly tied to their career, though personal life can intermix in that, particularly if someone has a lot of activities, like you got to take the kids to the baseball games on the weekends, that sort of thing. When you shift to post-career, time optimization becomes more of an intentional view. It's really even more forward thinking because life becomes much more routine
Uh-huh.
in a post-career or retirement life. So that's where time optimization is me continually thinking out, what do I want to do in the future with these goals I've established for myself? And then how do I accomplish those? And then how do I replace when I complete those goals with new personal and enriching activities? And some of them can be ongoing goals like volunteering, still owning your own business, being a consultant, being a contract worker, but you're continually proactively looking to the future to help plan an effective present.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, so and then kind of my final question is what are your goals currently, and well, where do you see the future in terms of just time and retirement, and especially in this age where kind of there's job insecurity, and how can people follow you, contact you, follow you on social media, etc.
Oh, thank you. So I am on all of the major platforms except TikTok. So you can reach me. My predominant platform is LinkedIn. So please look for me on LinkedIn because that's where I do most of my work there. My website is Infinity Lifestyle Design, one word.com. Just go there. I'd encourage anybody who goes there. I offer free for you to take the 2 assessments, either the retirement time analysis or the time management analysis, depending if you're post-career or in career, and you can get a free summary assessment. You'll see that on the front page. Uh, I would just ultimately what my mission is for people to time optimize their time management. I want them to look at time more infinitely. You think about when, like, for example, time's flying by on this interview because I'm having fun. And so, but then there are times like when I've been at a trade show where, and there's no customers, where time seems to move really, really slow. I want people's time to feel like it's moving fast, because when you do, you find you have more time to fill in for the future activities. So I want to change the dynamic and make time feel more infinite so that we feel like we have more to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. It kind of reminds me of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi's book, The Flow. It's basically your experience of time, and basically that's why, you have an income to buy you more time, and time is actually what is the most precious. And so the really fascinating discussion, and I really love how people are kind of contributing to the discussion around changing the view of time. And for all of the audience out there, let's thank David for coming on. Be sure to follow all of his social media links. He's on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And check out his website, infinitylifestyle.com. Reach out to him, give him a like, a follow. And with that, check out his book as well. It's on Amazon. And with that, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.
Such an honor. Had a lot of fun. Again, time flew, so I enjoyed it.